Everybody but mine. I need one of the
Good evening,
sticks
everyone.
like with a fake head. I keep raising it over there for
Welcome
years.
to the 2025 Municipal Candidate Forum for the town of Kitty Hawk, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dare County. I am Fran Kapanos, coordinator for this forum. I'd like to thank you all, as well as the candidates, for participating in this event. I want to let you know that we are live streaming as well as videotaping the event this evening. Afterwards, it will be available on the town website, as well as our league website, and on Current TV. The League of Women Voters is celebrating its 105th anniversary, and we are proud to continue the tradition of bringing candidates and the public together in this way to empower voters. I will now introduce our moderator for this evening, Courtney Gallup.
Thank you, Fran. Good evening. My name is Courtney Gallup. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, Dare County League of Women Voters, and I live in Nags Head. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization. It does three things. It encourages informed and active participation in all levels of government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League maintains a strict nonpartisan policy. It neither endorses nor opposes any political party or candidate. The League participates in the Positive Campaign Project and has requested that each candidate tonight take the Code of Campaign Ethics Pledge. We do not allow campaigning or campaign literature in the forum room. Please turn off all cell phones or electronic devices. Texting is prohibited. We request that you not take photos or videos during the forum. If you wish to take photos, we request that you do so either before the forum begins or after the final statements by the candidates. I'd like to now introduce the League members that are participating tonight. Our greeters, if you raise your hands when you hear your name, Catherine Doyle, Ron DeVoe, and Pat Kobar. Our question reviewers are Nancy Birondelli, Charlotte Padigo, and Tisa Head. Pardon me. Our timekeeper tonight is Karen Rory. We do encourage a lively and respectful discussion. If you think of a question during the forum, please raise your hand and one of our staff will hand you a question card. Let me tell you about the Town of Kitty Hawk candidates. There is one mayoral seat and 2 council seats up for election on November 4th. There are 4 mayoral and council candidates on your ballot. Present this evening are Gary Perry, candidate for mayor. Candidate Charlotte Walker, candidate for mayor, and currently on the town council for Kitty Hawk. Candidate Jeffrey Pruitt, currently on the town council, he's running unopposed. And candidate Peter Mance, candidate for the 2nd seat on the town council, he's also running unopposed. The format for the forum is as follows. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. The timekeeper will signal when the candidate has 30 seconds remaining. The timekeeper will stand if the candidate continues past the allotted time. Next, candidates will respond to questions from the audience. Questions were either submitted prior to the forum or they may be submitted during the forum. They are signed and include their town of residence or business location. League reviewers review questions for clarity and to avoid duplication. We believe this procedure affords the greatest variety of subjects to be covered in the allotted time. I will read the question as it's written and identify the submitter. The League of Women Voters advocates positive campaign practices, and we do reserve the right to omit any question that is viewed as a personal attack. Questions will be addressed to both candidates for mayor. Two-minute are allotted for responses. The timer will signal the candidate when 30 seconds remains and will stand if the candidate goes over the time allotted. Opportunity will not be extended to those who initially pass on a question. Candidates in competitive races will be called on to answer all questions if they choose to do so. Unopposed candidates may raise their hands if they wish to address a question and will be called upon after those who are in competitive races. Finally, each candidate is entitled to a 2-minute closing statement. Before we started this evening, candidates did draw numbers to establish the order for opening statements. We will then reverse that order for closing statements. To begin tonight, we will begin with an opening statement from, based on the numbers drawn earlier, candidate Mance will be our first opening statement.
Okay. Well, great. Good evening, everybody. And let me be the first to admit I'm a bit nervous tonight because there's a pretty intimidating group out there. So bear with us, please. The other thing I learned is not to go off the script. So I'm going to stick to my script for my opening remarks. But I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and their long-standing commitment to civic engagement. Your dedication to producing informed voters and strengthening our democracy is invaluable. And it's exactly the spirit of service that inspired me to run for the Kitty Hawk Town Council. Although I grew up in Tidewater, Virginia, my heart has always belonged to the Outer Banks. Some of my earliest and happiest memories are here surfing, fishing, and driving the beach with my family from Sandbridge down to Duck. My wife and I became property owners nearly 15 years ago, and upon my retirement from the military, we finally made Kitty Hawk our permanent home. After 30 years of Navy family, we've lived all over the world, in big cities, small towns, communities, both rural and urban. But Kitty Hawk has always been our safe harbor, our place of belonging. Our children called it home even when duty took us far away. That deep connection is why I feel a personal responsibility to give back to this town that has given my family so much. Now, Kitty Hawk, like many coastal towns, faces significant challenges, but I believe those challenges can be met with thoughtful leadership, collaboration, and shared sense of purpose. My vision for service focuses on 3 key priorities: safety, resiliency, and engagement. Safety means ensuring the well-being of everyone in our community, residents, visitors, and businesses alike. We already have an outstanding police, fire, and EMS departments, but we can and should do more to enhance pedestrian and bicycle safety. Developing a comprehensive mobility plan is essential to keeping Kitty Hawk safe for all. Resiliency means preparing for the future, protecting our homes, our environment, and our way of life from flooding, erosion, and storms. As a coastal community, we must act with foresight so our children and grandchildren can enjoy the same beauty we do today. And finally, engagement means keeping the connection strong between the town leadership and the citizens we serve. Government works best when it listens, when it builds solutions with the community, not just for it. I am committed to listening to your ideas, your concerns, and your hopes for Kitty Hawk's future. Together, we can ensure that Kitty Hawk remains the vibrant, safe, and welcoming community we all love. Thank you.
Candidate Perry drew number 2.
Good evening and welcome. To start, please allow me to answer a question many people have concerning why I'm running for governor or mayor.
Next up.
In short, I was asked to. When I started inquiring, why isn't the younger generation stepping up, the answer kept coming back: too busy, or lack of interest, or did not think they had sufficient knowledge to serve. The office of mayor must be filled, so I stepped up. Providing required services while evaluating wants or perceived needs is the proper function of council. The mayor is a single vote. but responsible for guiding the conversation to what each member believes town citizens want, but are not always possible due to physical restraints. With the help of fellow council members, financial prudence of taxpayer funds is paramount. We must be willing to say no to staff and citizens when necessary. Thank you for your attendance tonight and your interest in government.
Thank you. The next opening statement will come from candidate Pruitt.
Good evening, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My last opportunity was during COVID, and it was on Zoom, and it was, I'm glad to be back in the town hall, let me say that. I'd also like to thank all of our residents and people that have showed up here tonight. And again, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to serve for the past 12 years as your city councilman. I'm just going to say a little bit about myself. I've served 7 years prior to on council on the planning board and 6 years prior to that as the chairman of the Recreation Committee. During this time, I've witnessed the love our residents and vacationers have for Kitty Hawk. We know our home is fragile. That's why our environment is so important. Our wetlands, our maritime forests, our beaches are all part of one big puzzle. It takes all the pieces to maintain a balance on this island that we all call home. I'm a strong believer in the land use plan. It was a plan prepared by the residents of what they would like their town to look like in the future. That vision is a place to live, raise a family, and in harmony with nature. Once again, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the people of Kitty Hawk for this many years, and I hope to continue to serve you well. Thank you.
Candidate Walker will be our last opening statement.
I am Charlotte Walker, and I have represented you for the last 4 years. When I came to Kitty Hawk fresh out of real estate school, I became the first woman in the profession on the Outer Banks. I worked hard to build my knowledge and experience and worked hard to build relationships and bridges in unfamiliar professional landscape. I was successful. I used that experience and those relationships to address the critical problem that I saw that was the lack of affordable licensed childcare for working families. I did my homework, I looked up state building codes, licensing requirements, and I constructed and operated Better Beginnings. We expanded and ended up offering high-quality childcare that served up to 200 children a day. I trained and guided 28 caregivers and providers and for over 23 years. Those folks worked for me at Better Beginnings for over 2 decades because we learned together, we cared about what we were doing, and we operated as a team. After retiring and selling Better Beginnings, I looked around my town and I realized that those skills that I had gained and the experience I had gained in my real estate business at Better Beginnings could really help our town and become better at meeting the needs of citizens. I got on the Recreation Committee and was the chairman of the Board of Adjustments for 4 years. Then I felt ready to bring all of that knowledge and experience to the town council. In 2021, I ran and won. I have worked hard, and now I'm ready to continue to work as your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you all for your opening statements. Now it's time for questions and answers from the voters. Randomly, to start us off, will be candidate Walker. The question is, and apparently this is for both candidates, why are you the most qualified candidate to fill this position? Candidate Walker.
I have, like I said in my opening statement, I have the experience and the knowledge that I've gained through all my life. Every job I've had, every business I've created, and every life experience I've had has gone into making me the person that I am today, and I feel ready.
For the record, that question was submitted by the League of Women Voters. And now to you, candidate Perry. Same question. Why are you the most qualified candidate to fill this position?
Well, for the town of Kitty Hawk itself, I served from 2005 till 2021 in all the positions a council has. So I have that experience. In addition to that, before I ever got to the council, I spent 30 years in the Coast Guard doing a variety of different jobs. And then that was followed by a second career in the Merchant Marine. So it's been a continuous journey. And I did give it up for a while, but I was asked to come back. And that's why I'm trying to put my experience to good use. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Andy Zakos of Kitty Hawk. It's directed to the mayoral candidates. The question is, what do you think should be done to increase residential housing in Kitty Hawk? Going first is candidate Perry.
And the question about residential housing was what?
Are you asking me to repeat the question, sir?
Please.
The question is, what do you think should be done to increase residential housing in Kitty Hawk?
Well, residential housing in Kitty Hawk is what most people prefer, okay? And they prefer it in a less dense situation. So if the heart of the question is, do we need some sort of housing that this workforce housing, or now it's getting ready to go into a non-government, nonprofit thing, I'm not sure the town people of Kitty Hawk have bought into that just yet.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question. Candidate Walker, same question.
I've been down here on the Outer Banks since 1972, and we have always had a housing issue. We have had employee issues. And we used to, when somebody rented their cottage, they would rent it for the 12 weeks of summer, and then somebody would rent it for the winter, and so that gave us housing. But there's a lot of creative ways that we can look at this, and I think it's manageable. I think we can come up with something that would work. Maybe we need to adjust our zoning laws a little bit to make it more possible, but thank you.
The next question is from Charlotte Padigo of Kitty Hawk. All candidates, please respond to the question, which is, which town ordinances can we bring more into line with Kitty Hawk's land use plan, despite Raleigh's legislative rulings? Can we implement more land use development standards, as in plan recommendations and policies, number 3, and affordable housing. Let me try that again. The question is, which town ordinances can we bring more into line with Kitty Hawk's land use plan, despite Raleigh's legislative rulings? Can we implement more land use development standards as plan recommendations, policy number 3, and affordable housing? The first on that question will be candidate Walker.
I'm not prepared to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question.
Well, Raleigh imposes certain things onto us that we simply cannot overcome. And to give you an example, we can't control how many bedrooms and things of that nature. And then they slip something in under the last-minute rule, and all you can do is fight that after the fact. And we all know what's happened lately. That did happen. So with regard to affordable housing, I hope I just addressed that just a little bit in the sense that housing is something we all need, but do the citizens of Kitty Hawk want dense housing? I would say no. Do they want to be forced into affordable housing, which you got to differentiate between affordable housing and workforce housing that's controlled. So you just got to work with it, but enacting ordinances just for that sole purpose, you got to be careful with that. You just got to be careful. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4 comes from Christian Antonis of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, Kitty Hawk has a lot of commercial scale businesses being operated within residential zones. How will you address this issue and prevent them from being run inside residentially zoned neighborhoods? The first response will come from candidate Perry.
Would you repeat that question?
Yes, sir.
A little bit slower, please.
The question is, Kitty Hawk has a lot of commercial scale businesses being operated within residential zoning. How will you address this issue and prevent them from being run inside residentially zoned neighborhoods?
Okay. That's been going on.
Again, that was from Christian Antonis.
What?
The question was posed from Christian Antonis.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that is happening, but it's been happening since the town was born. And it was happening before zoning happened, and trying to control that means you're going to go out here to citizens that have been making a living here as long as the town has been living. And what you have to do there is you just have to manage it to a level where it's not branching out into neighbors. If neighbors are not hollering, then maybe you need to leave it alone. If neighbors are hollering, you go look for it and you take care of it. But right now, if you're suggesting that we need to go into everybody's neighborhood and start looking at everything that's happening in the neighborhood, that's a hornet's nest, plain and simple. And I wouldn't like to go there. Thank you.
Candidate Walker.
I am a proponent of reviewing our ordinances and wording them in such a way that they can be enforced. They are very vague. They have lots of little nooks and crannies that you can wiggle out of and say it's okay. But I think if we were able to go through our ordinances, which is a mammoth task, believe me, to bring them more into concise language and so that they were more easily enforced, that would be a good process.
Thank you. Question number 5 is posed by Nellie Healy of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, would you find monies for regular drainage maintenance of our creeks and waterways? First on that question will be candidate Walker.
Depends on where the creeks and waterways are. We don't control all of those. Some of them are controlled by the state, and you have to call them. We don't have the equipment to do a lot of those things. And so it would depend, but we certainly want to keep everybody safe, and we don't want anybody flooding.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question.
Well, Kitty Hawk's come a long ways with equipment, safety, manpower, and that sort of thing. So we're making progress. And it can continue, and we'll provide what's needed, but we have to stay within budget. We have to stay within what the citizens of Kitty Hawk can afford. It's just that simple.
Could I chime in on that, please? So,
Candidate Mance?
thank you. One of my tenets or visions is for resiliency of this coastal community. And of course, that all ties in with, stormwater management and development. Just as Councilwoman Walker was saying, it depends on where those ditches and whatnot are. The proactive way, I think, to get after this is some kind of shoreline management plan that helps us drive into a larger focus of how do we protect our wetlands, what ditches need to be cleaned, what don't, and what can best fit into that framework of thinking. So,
I'll comment too.
Candidate Pruitt?
Also, the town, several times after storms have received money, and all that the permitting will allow is to remove falling debris that are in our waterways and our canals, and it's called a hook and snag, and that's all that really can be done as far as the town, and it's contracted out. And as far as the cleaning our canals, at one time Kitty Hawk had numerous canals that were designed to move the water out and to control mosquitoes, but due to environmental concerns and regulations, the dredging is impossible because there is nowhere to put the fill that you dredge out of some of these small canals. So the culverts and stuff can be cleaned out, but as far as dredging canals and ditches, it is almost an environmental impossible now. That's all.
Thank you. Going on to question 6. The question is from Alan Stegner of Kitty Hawk, addressed to both candidates. The question is, will you please more closely monitor and enforce our city ordinance concerning junk and unlicensed vehicles, including boats? There are 5 such vehicles on Seascape Drive. The first response will come from candidate Perry.
Unlicensed vehicles. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. And what would we do about it? Well, if they're on private property, then they need to be reported for tax purposes. But as far as moving them off, unless they're junk and declared some sort of junk and a nuisance, and we do have an ordinance for that, then that's the proper way to take care of that.
Thank you. Next response from candidate Walker.
In Article 22, Chapter 22, there is an ordinance for removing these items and giving the owners notice that they will be fees associated with it if they don't move them. There are, again, like I said, there are some loopholes and some vague language that allows some different interpretations of it. But I would definitely be willing to do that. And I know exactly ones he's talking about, and he's right.
Thank you. Question 7 is from the Dare County League of Women Voters. The question is, what improvements would you make to public health and safety programs? The first response, please, from candidate Walker.
Well, the health and safety of our citizens is paramount, and it's we have medical facilities and that have met our needs. We've come a long way as far as our medical needs down here. We have some more to go, I can promise you, but just being cautious, just having everybody be cautious. I don't mean wear masks or anything like that, but when you're advised to by the authorities, you should obey those requests.
Thank you. Your response, Candidate Perry?
Boy, when I was growing up here, you went across the bridge to Dr. Wright. If you had the flu or whatever you had, you were going to get a shot. And the only choice you had was which cheek you were going to get it in. So what has happened is we have a hospital. We have facilities up here in Kitty Hawk now that we never had. And council really fought hard to get that because we traded some land. Now you've got an EMS station because we traded land. And we have a fire bay for a fire truck in case of flooding, in case our firehouse, which is built in a flood zone. What more do you want? And in addition to the ones that are ECU, the hospital related, now you've got a cluster of primary care, and I don't know how else you can get much more. I really don't. It's here. It's now. And it was never here before. And we have a choice. It's good. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could I add that? Just a real quick plug again. I think because safety was one of the elements of that question, if I'm not mistaken, without having you have to repeat the question, but I believe health and safety was one of it. But a piece of that I think is extremely important is the pedestrian and bicycle safety. And this most recent council, along with the town staff, has just gotten approved the North Carolina multimodal access grant. So I think that study is going to be huge in helping us figuring out sidewalks, multi-purpose paths, not only for the safety of our own family and friends, but all the tourists that work on the beach road and everything else. So I think that's a huge safety piece along with the health items. So.
Are we allowed to add to that? No?
No, sir. We're moving on. Question 8, submitted by Lori Walters of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, with our recent beach erosion, what are your thoughts on spending money, big money, on Kitty Hawk beach nourishment? And how much will it cost in 2026? Candidate Perry is first on that question.
Saving money on beach nourishment, there's no such thing. So, but do you want it? It works. And if you don't want it, you're living in a bowl out here. We had to put in 7 pumping stations. We did that. The town did that, okay? And we got permission to pump in the ocean if we need to. And before we had beach nourishment, we were doing that routinely with a northeaster. We've had, 4 northeasters in a straight row. What do you want? If you don't want that, you got a problem because the dunes won't last that long. Look at what's going on in Hatteras. So there is no big way to save money on that. You can't do it. The cost to mobilize, the cost to pump, all the equipment involved, the bidding, you're not going to save any money. What you can do is partner up with the county, with the other towns, and that's how you save any money. Mobilization is millions of dollars just before you pump a grain of sand.
Thank you. Candidate Walker, your response?
I happen to have an oceanfront cottage that I am almost certain that it would not still be there were it not for beach renourishment. And the last time we had it done, it was very successful, and we had a large beach, and we've been spared this time with this northeaster. But there's several schools of thought about how well that works, and how inevitable it is that Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature's going to do. So it's still bears investigating and thinking about. It's an awful lot of money to spend, and but that's why tourists come here, is for that ocean. So we have to protect that.
Thank you. Candidate Pruitt?
Well, I'll be the first one to say when beach nourishment was first brought up, I was probably one of the biggest naysayers there was. I personally, living here my whole life, had watched big dunes slide into the ocean at every wave. It was just something I just didn't think would work. There was a lot of planning into the sand and everything else that goes with beach nourishment. It's not just a matter of pumping regular sand. This sand sticks together, it holds better. So after a few years went by, I realized how well it was working. And I can remember when the the beach road, half of it was dug out underneath of it. A few more feet, we would have lost the beach road, and a few more would have come the telephone poles behind it, leaving our beautiful beach with no access to all of your houses down the beach road. So I talked about the puzzle. The puzzle is part of a migration of sand that happens on the Outer Banks. It moves from the northeast to the southwest. Without putting sand back on our beach, we're going to lose to the west as well. It's a vital part of the puzzle to keep our little island maintained.
Candidate Mance?
Thank you. If I could just real quickly add, this obviously, as Charlotte or Councilman Walker said, Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature does. I live there also on the beach road, and every year in the winter, I see the beach washed away, and I come back in the spring, and it's built right back out. However, the dunes do make a significant difference, and these last couple nor'easters, the dune line is like stripped in half from the last replenishment, which actually stayed there, the double dune system, for about 2 years, 3 years before it started eroding. But just to that point, and somebody said, I think Councilman Walker said that, it's a huge part of our tourist industry, right? And $3.2 million in our budget in 2022 came from the tourist industry, just from the occupancy and sales tax of those homes along the beachfront. And of that, 51% of our residential homes are along that beachfront, and they're vacant homes for tourists and seasonal rentals. So that's a huge part of our thriving economy. But in the same token, I do believe that the shoreline, just as Mayor Pro Tem said, that the shoreline on the backside really needs to be looked at too, because if we don't protect that, then you're going to see flooding on the backside as well as that piece of the puzzle. And, are we doing enough there that we can't be doing there too is, I think, worth looking at as much as the beach erosion on the front side. So thank you.
Thank you all. Question 9 is submitted by Randy Stoppenbach of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, given the adverse effects that affordable housing developments have had on other communities, what safeguards would you implement if a proposed affordable housing project were approved to protect existing property values and ensure public safety and preserve our small town character? Our first respondent is candidate Walker.
Well, it's a matter of which one do you want? Do you want housing for low income or for working people, or do you not? I mean, we've got, it just can't just be because nobody wants it in their backyard. We have to find a solution, whether it's tiny homes, mobile homes, trailers. I mean, we have to find some solution. And I agree that it's not the highest and best use of land to put that housing in a high-end neighborhood, but we have areas that we could do that. I mean, it's doable.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question.
Well, the question's asked if approved, which says it's already a done deal, but that's not the way it works. If something like that were to come to the town of Kitty Hawk, then it's council's judgment to whether or not it fits our own ordinances, what we need to propose, whether or not the citizens want it, and then we go from there. But if it comes to us approved, I'm not sure how that would work unless it comes to us approved from North Carolina legislature, then we don't have a lot to do with it.
Thank you. Question 10 is posed by Linda Corson of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, what can we do to make homeowners have lids on trash cans and business dumpsters to have lids so when the wind blows, trash doesn't get in our canals and ocean? The first responder is candidate Perry.
Repeat the question.
What can we do to make homeowners have lids on trash cans and business dumpsters to have lids so when the wind blows, trash doesn't get in our canals and ocean?
I didn't understand the question, so I'll let it go.
That's a pass, sir. Candidate Walker.
Well, that's part of the element down here. Even if you've got a lid on it, it might blow the trash can over. It's part of the element that we have to deal with, and unless you're going to go out there and sit on the lid, it's really hard to do that. But I'm sure they make something that you could actually have something that held the lid down, like a wooden structure with something that would hold the lid down, but it's part of the world here.
Candidate Pruitt.
Well, years ago, we did have an entrepreneur come in here, and he was willing to come to your property and pour a cement pad and put magnetic holders, which would withstand 50-mile-an-hour wind or something. And he had brought the idea to the town to put a few in, and I do think there are a few of them up in Southern Shores. He named the places where he put them, but they do make, the man does make a trash can that goes to the Dare County, and somehow he hooks magnets, or somehow it's a clip that there is. So there is ways to keep them blowing away, but it seemed like the price was a little bit expensive.
Thank you. Candidate Mance.
In violent agreement, you know, I live on the beach road, and every morning I walk the dogs on the beach, and I look out on the shoreline, and there's hardly any trash. I've never lived on a beach anywhere in the world where I walk out and it's not littered with some kind of plastic or so it's so beautiful. And then I walk back over the dunes, back to my house, I look down the corridor of the beach road there, and there's trash everywhere, you know. It's actually not that bad, but it does get bad, and of course, on that beach side, it gets so much more windy in the wintertime mostly. So the summertime, we're kind of safe unless a storm comes through, and tourists are usually there, and they're pretty good about picking it up. And just before I came over here, I picked up 4 trash cans in the street right behind my house of renter vacant homes that just people have left them out there. So I think one thing is just through maybe the realty companies and letting the renters know, hey, there's got to be some kind of responsibility for your trash when you take it out. They all know when to take it out because they got their cans full and they want to fill it up the next day, but bringing it back in, that creates a hazard too when that beach road, the emergency lane is so small and all those trash cans are stuck out. Even down Woods Road, Kitty Hawk Road here, all the roads really, it becomes a nuisance when you're biking or running or anything like that. So getting them back in is half the problem, and just that education of the tourists that, hey, take some responsibility if you can, I think is one thing. I'm all for innovative ideas too of magnets and stuff, but that could certainly play a place, but thank you.
Thank you all. We're on question 11. The question comes from Nicholas Antonis of Kitty Hawk. To both candidates, all candidates. What changes are you planning to make to the town vision and policies that would impact not only the residents, but town employees as well? Candidate Walker, you're first.
What visions? Could you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. The question from Nicholas Antonis is, what changes are you planning to make to the town vision and policies that would impact not only the residents, but the town employees as well?
I happen to be proud of our plan. We're progressing forward, and I'm very proud of the plan we have in place. And I can't imagine. I hope it's not affecting the employees because I care very much about them.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question.
I don't see a need for a long-term vision. We'll deal with situations as they come up. We'll try to maintain the town and staff in good shape and look out for the citizens of Kitty Hawk in all those avenues.
Candidate Mance.
I hate to keep jumping in, but I happen to be a big proponent of vision. That my military background, strategic planning and execution is huge for me. I think vision keeps you from being reactionary and helps you get out in front of the problem. Something as small as trash cans in the street or shoreline management. It's huge to stay in front. If you're reactionary, then you deal with ankle biters, and oftentimes you may not even be framing the problem properly. You might be relying on one person that's the loudest squeaky wheel to come in and say, we've got this problem, and now you're knee-jerk reacting to that one thing when the rest of the town may not be interested. But that vision gives you that framework. I think Councilwoman Walker said it earlier about this notion of updating our ordinance and our code to make sure it meets up with the CAMA land use plan, which is a great document. That does offer a lot of vision, and the town worked, and the previous council worked extremely hard on that CAMA land use plan. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but it offers a framework and a way of thinking, and do our ordinances meet us there? So I don't know, the staff might be a little put out if they have to go through that big ordinance book that's huge. They're back there sweating, going, oh my God, I hope he doesn't win. But I think that's one thing that you could probably do that would really help things along and get you a little bit more forward thinking. Because if we're reactionary, then the things that we enjoy and love today won't be there anymore. So.
Thank you all. Question 12 is from Grace Anloff of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, as a whole, what is your stance or viewpoint on individual property rights? The first respondent on that question is candidate Perry.
Well, I'm a big candidate for property rights. That's fundamental to America, basically. And I would try to maintain property rights in every way possible. Sometimes you have to deal with things that might overcome something that somebody individually doesn't like, but property rights are sacrosanct. We need to maintain property rights.
Thank you. Candidate Walker?
Property rights entered into one of the questions I had earlier about the junk cars. We try to value people's property rights, and if you can't see it from the street, then we can't go on their property and examine it or declare it a problem. Property rights are very important, and this is a property rights town. We are very much in favor of property rights.
Thank you. The next question is posed from Charles Bush of Kitty Hawk. And the question is, what is your plan for future budgeting to replace town fire equipment not currently funded. The first response will come from candidate Walker.
Well, I had envisioned that we might add a cent of a 1 penny tax per 100 that would go directly into a fund that is set aside and it's earmarked especially for fire truck. And we have a need that will be coming up in 5 years. That if we had voted to do that, when you order the fire truck, the price is that price that day. If you, and it stops, but you don't pay anything to them until you get the fire truck. So that allowed for the money to be on savings. It allowed us to have more shared revenue. It would have allowed us to be ready for that fire truck. And next year, when we go back and talk about it, the fire truck could be $250,000 more than it is this year. So there's a way to protect it and to have money for what we need.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, same question.
Okay. Fire trucks are robust equipment. They're built strong, they're built for long lasting. And the other thing to consider when you're doing a fire truck replacement, whether it be a ladder truck or an engine truck, and I'm not sure which one we're talking about here, but it doesn't matter. You got to look at how much use that's getting. For example, if our fire truck or a ladder truck spends most of its time in the garage, as opposed to someplace like Norfolk, Virginia, where they're out seemingly every day, then our truck is not wear and tear near what some other place is. So the fact that the trucks are built strong, built to last, needs to be considered when you're considering how often you need to replace the trucks. We've been through this before. And the set-aside, whether it's a tax or capital set-aside, been doing that for years, and that's how most of the things that you see in fire trucks and others have been paid for before they were ordered and purchased.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, candidate Pruitt, please.
Yes, we always budget every year for the essential equipment for police cars and fire trucks, and we will continue to budget for our equipment. We put in the capital reserve fund a certain amount, and by the time that the truck is needed to be ordered, we should have nearly all of the money up front to pay for the truck. And if we don't, then at that time, we could raise the taxes, or we could use it out of a capital reserve, and we could finish funding the truck with money that has been set aside for circumstances just like this.
Thank you. We're moving on to question 14, and it comes from Robert Healy of Kitty Hawk, and he's asking, what services and projects has the government shutdown put on hold in Kitty Hawk? The first response will come from candidate Perry.
Well, I'm not in office, so I don't really know the answer to that question. I don't think it has affected us very much here because, like Jeff said, most of the time a capital reserve has been set aside. And what most folks don't realize is catastrophic event, how long does it continue for local government, fire, whatever it might time, it was about 6 months. Have a reserve. That's why thank you.
Same.
I'm not aware of anything that's moment.
Runoff. Sumner's is, how can you protect the property?
And director encroachment. So it has to be looked at on a case-by-case basis, where when the answers following the rules, and if the rules need to be changed, then sometimes you run afoul.
Good development for our infrastructure and our economy as far as our buildings and that sort of thing, let alone personal homes for residents. Water runoff in North Carolina and Dare County that drive, and we need to be careful and they exceed and with Phil, and just to make sure that they stayed with that 5, and so what that did, I don't know, but there's a lot of things like that certainly could be addressed through things like the management plan. So.
Noticed here lately that the new homeowner often the areas has experienced some flooding, and when somebody comes in new, the town has some ordinance about where it tapers to the road, but as far as the town does not, as far as seems to happen, 2 foot, and the guy next door goes 3 foot, and so that's a way that we can. It's kind of a problem because most of the prime lots have been developed, and now a lot of them are in lower areas and are required to push the water to their neighbors. So that is something that the town does need to look into, address for sure.
Thank you all. Question 17 comes from Alan Stegner of Kitty Hawk, and he asks, concerning our increased and impatient traffic volume, will you please work with other towns and county commissioners to promote the installation of red light cameras on the bypass? First up is candidate Perry.
What was the last part of the question? Something.
You're requesting me to read the
Yes,
question?
please.
Concerning our increased and impatient traffic volume, will you please work with our other towns and county commissioners to promote the installation of red light cameras on the bypass?
Oh, yeah, if it's necessary, and it may become necessary simply because the traffic does move along pretty good. So, in coordination with the county and other towns, that's something that could be looked at. Yes.
Thank you. Candidate Walker, your response?
We could certainly do that, and I do know that it is a very expensive proposition to install. You need officers to review the cameras and make sure that that's exactly what happened. And it's not as simple as just taking a picture and sending somebody a a bill for running a red light. It's a very expensive proposition, but it would save lives.
Candidate Pruitt on that question.
When it comes to the traffic, you know, I have to see the middle lane as a really big problem, and being in other places where the center lane has been done away with, and to where all of your roads on, say, the west side of the bypass have to do a right only and go to your next intersection where they can do a U-turn back and come back on the other side. There's a lot of areas where it's right only until you get to an area and you U back. And I believe our safety problem is clearly the middle lane. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense at all to me with two arrows pointing opposite directions, 1 foot away from each other. So,
Thank you. Candidate Mance.
I just like to concur with what everybody said. Yeah, obviously the bypasses can be dangerous at times, especially in certain locations like the turn going down by the new police department, past the Walmart, that whole intersection there. You've got merging lanes coming in, and it's a 50-mile-an-hour zone, and that's like, whew, I mean, that takes varsity skill right there. But traffic light cameras may be a way to shape people's behavior. I think there's other things that we could look at with right turns and that sort of thing to make that road safer. But I think all that's on the table when we talk about safety of our citizens and our guests.
Thank you all. Question 17 comes from Christian Antonis of Kitty Hawk. Your stance on employee pay and benefits, and will you look to increase benefits and pay to match fair market value? First, we'll hear from candidate Walker.
We make every effort to, and we have made a lot of changes since I've been on the board in pay and benefits. And I've been a proponent of paying people fair wages the whole time. I've wanted us to be the gold standard because we would hire people, we would equip them, uniform them, everything, and then they'd leave for $100 more a month. And it's just not right. So we had to become more competitive with our pay scale. I am just a very big supporter of paying people what they are worth doing.
Candidate Perry, same question.
Yeah, people jumping ship for a better paycheck has been going on forever. There's no good answer to it, but you do need to pay people proper, and we all want a decent paycheck, and employees deserve a decent paycheck. So you do what you can do within the limits of what you can do, and that's about all council can really do.
Thank you. I'm hearing that this will be our final question. And the question comes from Lori Walters. The 18th question is, what is the financial health or status of Kitty Hawk debt? Rainy day fund, where do you see areas of improvement and addressing waste? Candidate Perry, you're first.
Well, I'm not on council. So I don't have an answer for you right now. If I get on council, I'll give you an answer.
Thank you. Candidate Walker?
I don't think you even understood that question. So I would really like a chance to hear it one more time. I hate
Yes,
to
ma'am.
do that. It's not that I'm hard of hearing. I just don't understand it.
Yes, ma'am. And the question from Lori Walters is, what is the financial health or status of Kitty Hawk debt? Rainy day fund, where do you see areas of improvement and addressing waste?
Kitty Hawk is financially stable. We are in good shape, and I am very proud of that fact.
Candidate Pruitt.
She's absolutely correct on that answer. The town of Kitty Hawk is in a really good financial state right now due to previous town councils before I came on council. There has always been money in the reserve, and the council, all the councils that I've worked with have all worked hard to budget the money really well for the citizens of Kitty Hawk. There's not much waste that goes on in this town, I can tell you.
Thank you. It is now time for candidates' closing remarks. We are going to go in reverse order from the opening remarks. The first candidate to offer closing statements will be candidate Walker.
Thank you. In my time on council, I kept learning what the issues were and worked on the board to use taxpayer dollars that entrusted us to make Kitty Hawk a better place to live and work. While on the board, we accomplished a new police station, added community activities, added new trails, and completed a land use plan. Most importantly, I listened to our town manager. I considered suggestions, and I answered citizens' emails. I looked around the community and found people and encouraged them to contribute their time on boards and committees. The most important part of my work has been to build relationships and bridges among citizen, staff, and town council. I want to continue doing these things as your mayor. We need Kitty Hawk government to be proactive, not reactive, to seek citizen input, to be fiscally responsible. That means to plan wisely and to spend public tax dollars efficiently and effectively by looking for grants and opportunities to collaborate with other municipalities across the county, and the state, while working together at all times as a team. The mayor, the council, town manager, and the staff, the volunteers on the boards, committees, and the citizens of Kitty Hawk. And I have been out in the last 3 weeks. I have met some wonderful people, and I would not have encountered them had I not been in this election. I am very, I've listened to them. I've made notes of their issues, and we have a lot of work to do. Thank you for your time, and I would be honored to be the mayor of Kitty Hawk.
Thank you. The next closing statement comes from candidate Pruitt.
Yes, once again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and all the residents and folks that showed up tonight. It has truly been an honor to represent the people of Kitty Hawk on the town council, on the planning board, as well as the recreation committee. Over the 29 plus few months that I've served the town, we've seen Sandy Run, the bike path or multi-use path on the Woods Road, connector trails, skate parks, a new police building. There's been a lot has happened in the last 30 years in the town of Kitty Hawk. And the people have supported the town so much. The residents of Kitty Hawk are I'm prejudiced, the greatest people on the island. And it truly has been an honor and a privilege to serve the people. And if there's anything I can do, give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Perry, your closing statement.
I served the town for 16 years. I offer to step up and serve it again. I will do it with the same kind of honor and humility that you folks will give me, if you will. I agree with Jeff 100%. We did a lot in all those years. A lot of the good things you see are a culmination of a lot of that. The town was in financial shape, good shape. I understand now it still is. That's a good thing. And I appreciate the League of Women's Voters giving us a chance to speak to all the people and answer questions as best we can. And I'll serve you if you elect me. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And finally, candidate Mance, your closing statement.
Thank you. So as we've discussed tonight, Kitty Hawk faces both challenges and opportunities, but I see far more of the latter. This is a community built on resilience, unity, and pride of place. If we work together, there's no limit what we can achieve. Our future success depends on three primary things: visionary leadership, clear understanding of our priorities, and responsible management of our resources. We must anticipate challenges before they become problems and make decisions rooted in the values that define us: community, integrity, and stewardship of this beautiful coastal town. I'm running for town council because I want to serve you, our citizens, and help ensure Kitty Hawk remains a safe, prosperous, and connected community for generations to come. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters of Dare County for this opportunity, and thank you for everyone here tonight for caring about the future of our town. Together, let's keep Kitty Hawk a special place we all call home. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes the Town of Kitty Hawk Candidate Forum. The Dare County League of Women Voters wishes to thank the candidates for their participation and thank the public for their attendance and questions tonight. We also want to thank the Town of Kitty Hawk for the use of the meeting room and for videotaping this forum. We will post the video on our website at lwvdarenc.org and on our YouTube page. The Dare County Current TV channel will broadcast the forum as well. Check their website for dates and times. I will now turn this meeting back over to Fran Kapanos, our forum coordinator.
This year, we have asked all candidates to participate in the League's online voter guide called vote411.org. This is a one-stop shop website that voters may access on their phone or their PC. You key in your address and you can view your ballot, the candidate information, their philosophy statement, social media links, and their responses in their own words to the questions that we posed and more. Please make sure you check it out and share it with all of your neighbors who have not attended. There's a lot of valuable information, and we want to thank the 4 candidates for filling out all of the information for our Vote 411 guide. I know it's a lot of work, but we really appreciate that, and I know the public does as well. So all four of you have participated in this. Before you leave, we want to invite you to stop by at our voter information table over there. And you will find voter information here, and you pick this up. Also, we'd like to invite you, if anyone is interested in our League of Women Voters, we've got membership information on the table as well. So please stop by. Remember that in respect to voting, that you will be required to present an acceptable photo ID in order to vote. The last day to register to vote was Friday, October the 10th. But if you missed that date, you may still register to vote at one-stop early voting sites. And most of you know that our early voting site is in Kill Devil Hills at the town hall. So early voting, you have opportunity to vote and stop by. It begins Thursday, October 16th, that's this week, and runs until Saturday, November 1st. So be sure to inform all of your neighbors to stop by and vote. And also absentee ballots by mail must be returned to the Board of Elections by November 4th, Election Day, at 7:30 p.m. So I want to thank you all for coming. Want to thank the candidates for doing such a beautiful job on answering the questions and doing their opening and closing statements. Want to thank Courtney Gallup for doing a great job as moderator. And again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.